Hello and welcome to Tech Hub. I am Kenneth Akan. Cryptocurrency is officially legal in Nigeria. Yes, you heard that right. After years of regulatory uncertainty and mixed signals, the Investments and Securities Act 2025, signed into law just this year, has given cryptocurrencies a legal and recognized status in our financial system. This landmark legislation empowers the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, to regulate digital assets, including cryptocurrencies and tokens, as securities under Nigerian law. It opens doors for innovation, investment, and also regulation in this space. Recently, a forum held that aimed to shift the narrative towards utility-driven blockchain and regulatory compliance, bringing together regulators, innovators, investors, and ecosystem builders under one roof to define strategic pathways for crypto-led growth, regulatory clarity, and broader financial inclusion for Nigeria. Take a listen. We'll be back after this report.
Nigeria is like the pointer and the beacon in Africa. So everything we do in Nigeria is mirrored by other African countries. We are the first to have a national blockchain policy in Africa. We are the first to have a crypto regulation in Africa. We are the first to have an incubation, a sandbox for crypto in Africa. So now, but what we are looking at is holistically digital assets. And what I mean by that is that when you talk about digital assets, it includes crypto assets, it includes tokenizations, it includes proof of ownerships like NFTs. You can even bring in shares, bonds, and all of those stocks, into digital assets.
Nigeria is almost like the front runner in terms of just how crypto can evolve in terms of use cases. Bitcoin is the first coin that was is the first cryptocurrency in the world, the expectation is that adoption or the usefulness of the coin will be sort of geared or skewed towards Bitcoin. But in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole, we've redefined the use case and the sort of scenarios for crypto. We've now turned the use case into one that is of remittances, because again, Nigeria or Africa really has a huge remittance deficit and gap. So right now, I think what the role Nigeria plays is first and foremost as the leader in Africa in terms of adoption, in terms of morphing the use case of crypto into something that we can now call a remittance use case, and also leading in terms of even building the infrastructures ready enough to be able to pivot us into the next phase of cryptocurrencies.
In a few years, stable coins are saying this, is going to be the new money. And, that is one of the major ways it's going to help finance. Imagine wanting to send money to cross-border payments. You want to pay for a house in Dubai now. How do you send the money? You have to move money here and there. It takes time. Using banks to transfer money across countries. Like, I don't want to mention names, take weeks, take days. But with crypto, in 1 second, at a very small fee, as low as $0.1, you can transfer $1 million. So why would that not take over? And that is why the US is betting on the US dollars being the main currency of the Web3. That's why there's USDT, there's USDC now. So I think Nigeria, we need to step up. We need to be part of this, money for Web3.
South Africa already has policies and systems in place, right? Not only to, track and also measure, but also, to facilitate the adoption of cryptocurrency. So I think what Nigeria can do, what we can have, is more of our governmental agencies and licensing agencies as well take up the example of South Africa to adopt, cryptocurrency as, a mainstay. I mean, we've already had the CBN issue the e-Naira and whatnot, but it doesn't really have like a strong value on the global scale. And what we can do is to leverage, the population we have in Nigeria, especially the population of crypto adopters, because basically, I think statistically speaking, Nigeria has one of the largest population of crypto adopters in Africa.
There is a new stance on the global stage where some very big banks, right, are beginning to embrace stablecoins, cryptocurrency especially. And what this means is that we will see a total shift when it comes to the way people receive money, the way people send money, all right? And what that means is we are breaking barriers, so it's becoming borderless. It means that SME who is in Nigeria that sells maybe adire to people in Kenya or to people in the United Kingdom, and they've been battling with receiving funds. With stablecoin, you get it instantly. Why? You have a common denominator, either USDT. USDT or USDC is what we have right now. And what it means is USDT for me in UK is USDT for me in Nigeria, right? And all I just need is to on-ramp at a point and off-ramp at the other point. And it means that when businesses start embracing crypto, they have their wallet addresses, and the next thing that happens is, oh, I want to pay you, but because I can't receive British pounds, I have USDT. Do you have a crypto wallet? Oh, I have a wallet address, and I send my wallet address to you. I receive my money in USDT, and I'm able to convert that money to Naira.
With the Investments and Securities Act 2025 signed into law, crypto has officially become legal in Nigeria. But what does this mean for startups, investors, and ordinary Nigerians? Will this unlock financial inclusion or just invite stricter scrutiny? Can we now walk into a store and buy bread with Bitcoin? Or are we not just there yet? To unpack these burning questions that I've had for a while, and you have also had, we're joined by one of Nigeria's leading voices in fintech and crypto innovation. He's an ecosystem builder and someone with his ears to the ground when it comes to blockchain and crypto regulation in Africa. Jeremiah Mayowa, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
All right, I'm delighted to have you because I'm excited about this. Jeremiah, let me begin with the big picture. The Investments and Securities Act 2025. It's been called, is this being a turning point for us? In simplest terms, what has changed with this regulation, with this new law?
I think this law is an amazing one. A lot has changed in terms of now we have cryptocurrency and digital assets being defined as a security and now we are being guided by the SEC. As opposed to last year, that's between 2021 to 2023, where the CBN told all Nigerian banks to not onboard all cryptocurrency companies. So I think it's a good one. Those are some of the things that change. Now there's a little legal framework.
Some skeptics on social media are calling this new act legalization with handcuffs. They say regulation disguised as support. Is this law friendly towards innovation or just another way to clamp down on crypto startups, in your opinion now?
I think a lot of debate has been, why the SEC is defining cryptocurrency as a security instead of an asset or like a currency, because that's so people feel like it defiles the purpose of cryptocurrency being, a legal tender in its own. So being defined as a security, some people feel like that's not fully making use of all of the effects cryptocurrency is supposed to be used for. But I feel like it's a step forward. It's a good leap, and I think we should take it with good faith. It shows that the SEC are trying to do things right. So we need to just be compliant. We are all making sure we do that right now. That's
all right.
The current step.
Well, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Now, the Act gives the Securities and Exchange Commission the power to regulate digital assets. What kind of oversight or compliance should Nigeria crypto exchanges or wallet providers now expect?
I feel like we are going to be regulated. It is good to have a regulated market. It is perfect. But I think a lot of people are scared about over-regulation, if there could be rigid enforcement. I think, there have been issues in the past whereby, the SEC, and their strict hands, So I think a lot of people are just, trying to be wary of those. But, I think it's a good one. When an industry is regulated, it brings room for growth. The government now knows that, they are able to, they're in control. And let's just start from there and see how far we can go with this.
Before now, many Nigerian founders and crypto startups were registering abroad, even as recently as late last year. Do you see this law reversing that trend, bringing crypto businesses back to build legally in Nigeria?
Okay, a lot of crypto companies, are now they've now been registered in countries like Dubai, Singapore, the US. But I think with this, the trend might reverse because this ISA could encourage startups to return or register locally. But this is not really guaranteed. But there's now legal clarity. There's a good market potential. We have the SEC engagement. Compliance cost here is okay. There's also global competition that we could look at. So I think it really makes sense. It really makes sense.
So do you see this potentially attracting foreign investments into Nigeria's blockchain space, or are there still major trust barriers for international venture capitalists?
I feel like some startups might return, especially those targeting the Nigerian market. Some others might weigh the costs in terms of how it will benefit them to move their operations. But I think, for me, I feel like a lot of people will still watch, see how this, the SEC, takes a hold of this, because this is the first time they are actually doing anything towards the blockchain. So it's a new thing for them. All like countries like the US, Dubai, Singapore, which, their industry there, they are more old in this year.
Yeah.
Let me use the word.
So Nigeria has one of the highest rates of crypto adoption globally. What does this mean for everyday users, the traders, remittances, users, or DeFi participants? What does this mean for them?
So for DeFi participants, I think this law focus on security. I may not really address DeFi, but in terms of remittance, Nigeria is, we have the numbers. And one good part about crypto, which I'm telling many people today, is the use case for it being a stable coin. So for use for remittance, crypto is actually very, very useful in that. A lot of people think that crypto is all about trading, it's all about buying and selling, all about making money. But store of value is actually one key part why crypto would change the world. Stable coins like USDT, USDC, and others, Nigeria, I think we have one NGN something that we're trying to push.
Yeah.
With these currencies, you can move as high as $10 million with just $1, $2 fees, which is amazing. So I think that is also very, very good use case. And for traders, I feel like the legal recognition means safer trading because every company that will be licensed would have to ensure that they onboard all of their users, their KYC, KYB. So I think it's a very safe space for all. Eventually.
Now, Jeremiah, let's talk taxation. Does this law give any clarity on how crypto transactions or profits will be taxed in Nigeria? Should users be concerned?
I think this ISA doesn't actually explain anything about taxation. It doesn't provide an explicit detail, on how crypto taxation would work. But a separate bill was signed in 2024. I think I read something around that about a 10% taxation on gains of cryptocurrencies. But I think that is supposed to be to the FIRS, So I think that is all I know. But I think maybe we might just have to see how we can use, with regulation, with the exchanges like Jeroid and other members that will be on board with SEC, we should be able to, work together and see how we're going to ensure there's no tax evasion.
Great. So let's watch the space and see the use cases. But how do you think this will affect Nigeria's banking sector? Could banks begin to offer crypto-related products, or will they remain cautious for now?
I think the first things the bank will do is reversing the restriction in the 2021 ban that they placed on crypto companies. And, they could look at how they could, partner with crypto products like what we're building and, leverage the crypto industry, because everything in life, you have to adapt. There has to be evolution in terms of how you operate. The time of cowries are no more. Very soon, the traditional banking system would be almost irrelevant. So they have to adapt, look at what is moving, making moves. And that is what the US is doing, making sure the US dollar remains the coin for Web3, the store of value for Web3. And that is why they make sure most of the stable coins that are being used on the Web3, which is like USDT, as I said, USDC, they are making sure they are still under the US dollar. They are pegged with the US dollar, because every USDT mined, there's a backing of a US dollar somewhere.
Yeah.
So the US is heavily investing on this to make sure that the US dollar still stays relevant. They still remain the world leader, as so to say. So Nigeria, we need to take the step forward. The banks need to take a step forward, and start seeing how they can adopt these assets.
So now let's take a step forward. Let's look at 2-3 years from now. Where do you see Nigeria's crypto ecosystem under this new legal framework? Are we ready to lead Africa's digital economy?
I think we are, but we need to move fast, because a lot of countries have moved faster. They are far ahead of us, so we need to move fast. Once we are able to move fast, we have the numbers, we have industry players, we have stakeholders that are ready to advise, that are ready to that we are really experienced, because a lot of us, we look at the global way of doing things, and we could bring it back home. With our numbers, we're going to do good. We're going to do good.
So in the spirit of moving fast, if you had to advise a young Nigerian entrepreneur thinking about building a Web3 product today, what would you say, especially now that crypto is illegal in Nigeria?
I'll say it's not a simple task. For a company like Jeroid, that we've stayed in this industry for 8 years, even with all of this so-called bans, it's a good time now, because now we know that, okay, there's a legal framework, there's legal backing. Now we're trying to, get regulated, get our licenses or approval in principle, as the case may be, because there's no licenses that have been given out yet, but approval in principle. But, all of these things just shows that there's a framework ready. If you want to build something in this industry, feel free.
Yeah.
The market open, the market is fresh. There's still a lot of untapped. Nigeria is untapped, Africa is untapped in terms of this adoption. So let's tap into it, make money.
Great. Jeremiah, thank you very much for joining us on Tech Hub today.
Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much.
You've been watching Tech Hub, the TV show for all things tech in Africa. That's a wrap for today's edition of Tech Hub. Follow us on social media to continue the conversation. And remember to join us same time next week for more exciting updates around tech in Africa and in Nigeria. My name is Kenneth Akan. Thank you for watching.